May I please have the report?
Agenda for the July 16, 2013 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, July 11, 2013 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Okay, what's next?
Next is approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Without objections, minutes are, yes, they are approved as submitted. That's correct. Next item, please.
Next item is oral communications. Mr. Chair, there was one card submitted from Herbert Milano.
Yes, Mr. Milano? And what's the time allocated on this?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, Mr. Milano.
Discussion is limited time is not part of the agenda. He'll be allowed 5 minutes. Members may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision.
Good afternoon, members of the Housing Authority. My name is Herbert Milano. On several occasions in the past when I came before you, I've came to request a renewal of the quality of life indicators. And I'm bringing that up again because this is the only venue that we have in the City Council session to bring up something that is relevant, that this authority has taken in the past, and that is twice in the last 10 years an evaluation of the quality of life. Last one was in 2009. And I'm concerned because we have a significant lack of parkland, especially due to the significant increase in the number of multifamily housing units that oftentimes you approve here. And I don't see how we can proceed by continuing to approve housing, whether low income or whatever other type of housing you decided to bring up in the areas that are the densest part of the city, without an adequate attention to the parkland needs. Back in 2003 and 2004, I brought up the issue that we have an opportunity to expand parkland on Central Park by removing the parking spaces of Central Park and making use of those 3 acres and maximize it for a significant urban park for the residents. Doesn't have to be a playground, doesn't have to be soccer fields, it's just a passive park that we could use, especially in the summer, for purposes of bringing the community together, having summer concerts, celebrate 4th of July, and so forth. But my experience tells me that there's just a significant number of more and more buildings, high-rise buildings, thousands of more residents with no let-up and no outlet for residents to basically bring their children and their families, or for the elderly to come in. It's a quality of life issue. It's a significant one. So I don't see how we can proceed approving housing without providing the commensurate needs of open space. I think it's an issue of justice. I think it's an issue of essential quality of life. We provided a small park in the Americana, but this is a venue that is geared towards income producing. You go there with the expectation that you have to pay, in some commercial establishment to sort of like make your presence be of some significance to Caruso affiliated. I know he counts the number of people who come out with bags for any particular event. We need a place where we can attend, bring our families, have a barbecue, have an event without the expectation that somehow there's got to be a commercial interest at hand and some part of tax revenue taking place. I know my words may sound angry, or upset, but this has been easily a 10-year effort to try to get a park that doesn't require for you to move people or to tear down buildings, just to obtain and maximize the space. If you read the documents that originally gave the justification for the Maryland parking structure, it says right there that one of those objectives was to provide parking for people attending the park. But now many of those spaces are no longer, we no longer have so many spaces as they're being assigned to other multifamily projects out there. I believe that we should look at having that underground parking as an option, a significant option for us. We discussed it back in 2005 when Mr. Najarian was running for office. I remember many of the councilmen saying what a great idea that would be. Just remove the surface parking and create open space. I don't think that anyone who comes before you to ask for that type of relief and quality of life, it should be ignored. This is an essential quality of life issue. And when we think about other projects that require financing and bond issues and tax credits that many developers can take, this might be just that opportunity for us to create a space where people can walk and enjoy the outdoors, enjoy a summer concert. All of these issues were discussed a long time ago, and the plans are in the Parks Department, with the amphitheater, things of that nature. I think that we have an opportunity to improve our quality of life, and I suggest for this authority to renew the effort to having a yearly quality of life indicators report, and having Parkland being one of those essential areas of focus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Milano. All communications is now closed. What is next?
Next item on the business agenda, 6A is Director of Economic Development regarding supplemental home funding for 2 previously approved projects. 6A1 is motion approving fiscal year 2012-13 and draft fiscal year 2013-14 home action plan amendment. A2 is motion approving an affordable housing agreement amendment to provide supplemental home funding for Cypress Senior Living Affordable Housing Project in an amount up to $500,000. A3 is a motion approving an affordable housing agreement amendment to provide supplemental home funding for Veterans Village Affordable Housing Project in an amount up to $1,575,000. And A4 is a resolution approving $3,160,000 of home funds for Cypress Senior Living and the Veterans Village Affordable Housing Projects.
Yes, Mr. Ochoa, please.
Yes, sir. We have several motions and 2 resolutions of appropriation for you regarding these 2 projects. About this time last year, the Housing Authority had approved Veterans Village and the Cypress Senior Living Affordable Housing Development contingent upon 9% tax credits. The good news is that the projects have received those tax credits and they're moving forward. We also have understood from the development teams that because of the relatively small amounts of permanent financing needed for these projects, they're having just a dickens of a time getting funding in the private market. Now, as Kismet would have it, we do have home funds that do have to be expended by the date certain. So the recommendation before you is to allow for an augmentation of the Housing Authority's commitment to these projects by the amounts listed in the staff report that allows us to expend those funds rather than surrender them back to HUD or use them for some other purpose that probably in all likelihood would have included the buy down of further value within these projects. And it allows these projects to move forward more expeditiously in the current housing market. So what we have for you is that series of motions and resolutions. Mr. Fortney is here if you have any questions for him on the details of these 2 projects, and we can go from there. Mike, is there anything? Any questions of council?
Any questions?
One, Mr. Garcia, can we move all these at one item, one time?
Yes, you may, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please, Mr. Najarian.
So what will happen with the cash flow that comes back on these loans? Are there any restrictions on the use of them?
Only to the extent that they are program income for the housing program. We would not have to surrender those to the state of California.
Mr. Najarian, if I can, they would come back as home funds. You'd have the same obligations to spend them. We would actually have to spend those dollars first. But what it does is provides us an ongoing stream of income as opposed to sinking it into a project and then walking away from it.
And that's at 4%.
Yes.
One of them is at 4%, right? The other one's at 3.
Oh, yeah, the 4%.
One's at 3.15.
3.15.
That's right.
Yeah.
The smaller project is at 4%, and the larger project is at 4%, or 3.15, I apologize.
No questions?
I'll move 6A, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Authority members: Friedman,
Yes.
Mincy,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Barazian,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Chair Sinanian.
Yes. Next item, please.
6B is Director of Community Development regarding professional services agreement change order related to the 2013-14 Housing Authority budget for legal services in support of affordable housing activities. D1 is a motion approving change order with Kane Ballmer Berkman in an amount of $30,000 for a new contract total of $260,000, extending the contract term to June 30th, 2014.
Yes, sir. We have the KBB contract. It's set to expire at the end of this current year. We're looking to expand that and actually augment the funding by about $30,000 to be taken from home funds and from the Low-Mod Housing Asset Fund for the legal counsel we receive with respect to housing activities. Mr. Fortney, or actually Peter, or our legal counsel can answer any questions you may have.
I have a question. Yes, Mr.
I have
Nancy.
one question. You said that that would expire the end of the year. If that's the case, then we're only talking about 6 months extension, is that right?
No, we're looking
It
to
said June 30th, 2014.
through next
It's next 11 months.
Through
this
2014.
current fiscal year that we are now in.
I was thinking that of December, it isn't.
No, on a fiscal year basis,
Oh,
sir.
okay, I'm sorry.
My question is, I'm looking at the funds that have been allocated for their services since 2010, and it's gone from 90,000 in 2010 to 180 in 2011. Then I guess now in 2012 went up to 230. Now we're going up to 260. Is the quantity of the services that they provide increased? Because this is like more than a 200% increase over 3 years.
Actually, if I may, these are cumulative, so we had a $90,000 contract. We added $90,000 to bring the total contract to $180, and then we added $50 to bring it to $230. So it's between $50,000 and $100,000 that they have annually that we have expended with them, and this will fluctuate with the different projects that we have. As we're going through development, the negotiation stage, we may use them more than we would now. In addition, they have acted as a general counsel for us on the whole dissolution of redevelopment. How do you handle the affordable housing, the 20% set-aside component? Because that's really still up in the air.
Okay, so that I understand you correctly, it is not the case that for the next fiscal year they will be allocated $260,000. It's only $30,000.
It will be, there's $19,000 left on the contract. We want to put another 30 on, so a total of $49,000 going forward. What we want to be able to tell you is, from the time we started this contract, here's the total value.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that explanation. Do we have a motion?
I'll move 6B1.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Authority members: Friedman,
Yes.
Mincy,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Barazian,
Yes.
Harrow,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Chair Sinanian.
Yes. Next item.
Is there any authority member or staff comments?
One, I do appreciate getting reports like this, but I think it's a waste of paper. And maybe I'm the only council member, but I did not read all of this. It'd be nice to have it online. If I need to get into the details of the contract, I could, but giving us reams of paper, just the afternoon portion, you can save a little money and effort just leaving it online. Usually if I need something, I can go online to find the
Authority
page or
member Weaver,
pages.
that is music to my ears. You were
Well, I'm
the
just
last
one.
person to want it printed, so we will now
I'm just one. See, that's all going in the trash.
we'll make
I
sure.
think you're the only one who
you're
still
right.
gets it printed.
Yeah.
Am I the only one getting it?
No, I
There
get
are a
it.
few
printed
others,
also.
but
But yeah, online would be great.
There you go.
Just want to say that unlike Mr. Weaver, I read every last page. Printed material.
Sure.
And he's making a good point. I did obviously look through it, but
It depends on the
lot of
project,
paper.
too. Sometimes there's,
Some of these contracts, there's so much detail. How long did it take staff to work it out?
yeah.
A long time. That's my only comment.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Do we have new business?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
And we're adjourned at 3:18.
Okay. We'll call together the July 16, 2013 meeting of the Glendale City Council and the Glendale Housing Authority. Called to order at 3:18 p.m. May we have a roll call for City Councilman?
Council members: Friedman.
Here.
Najarian. Here. Carroll.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
Mayor Weaver.
Here. And for the Housing Authority?
Authority members: Friedman.
Here.
Mincy.
Here.
Najarian. Here. Grazian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chair Sinanian.
May we have your
Here.
report?
The agenda for the July 16, 2013 joint public meeting of the City Council and the Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, July 11, 2013, on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Item before you is Director of Economic Development regarding development of a 3-unit affordable home ownership project to be located at 806 East Chestnut Street. 1A is council resolution making findings pertaining to affordable housing. 1B is authority resolution making findings pertaining to affordable housing and authorizing the executive director to enter into an affordable housing agreement with San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity. 1C is authority resolution appropriating $400,000 to provide funding for the project.
Thank you, Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, sir. We have an interesting, very exciting project for you. Once again, with our partners at Habitat for Humanity, this is a 3-unit project where the investment from the Housing Authority would be $400,000. We'll have Mr. Fortney come up and provide you with the details, and also Sonia Yates, Executive Director from Habitat, is here to answer any questions you might have.
Good afternoon, Housing Authority board members. I'm Mike Fortney, Senior Housing Product Manager. Habitat Chestnut would be the 8th project if you approve it. San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity has developed in the city. The total development cost for the project is estimated at $1,191,000. That includes the land. Housing Authority's contribution would be $400,000. That covers the $375,000 land acquisition and an additional $25,000 for pre-development costs. That equates to $133,000 per unit. The site is 806 East Chestnut. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Maple Park. It's basically one block north of Maple Park. The street ends on the block of 800 East Chestnut. It's a 7,000 square foot site. It's 50 by 140, so it's a pretty small site. It is zoned R2250. The description of the project, what is being proposed now is a 3 detached, and I believe the report said attached. That was my error. 3 detached townhomes. There'll be 3-story, 3-bedroom, and 3 bath, a half bath, a 3/4 bath, and a full bath. So that's a departure from what Habitat's done in the past. Previously, Habitat projects were 2-story. The reason we are looking to go 3-story on this one is because the site is so small. This way, going more vertical, we are able to provide more open space for the project. So that was the reason for that. The sales price, talked about that a little bit. The total sales price for each of the units would be $397,000. That's the total development cost. That's the total sales price. But the first mortgage with Habitat would be $186,000 for each of the buyers. And their monthly, the cap on their monthly housing cost, and that would include property taxes, the mortgage payment, utilities, would be $1,134. And it might adjust a little bit depending on when the project goes in service. The second mortgage by the Housing Authority would be the $133,000 assignment. And then Habitat is looking to get Cal Home and Wish funds, and if they're successful at that, that would be a third and a fourth mortgage. But the owner would see the $186,000 first mortgage. That would be what they would be paying on. As typical with our Habitat projects, there is an equity share. The first 5 years, if the owner sells in the first 5 years, they don't get any equity. All that comes back. And then every 5 years, they gain basically 10% equity until, if they keep it 45 years, 100% of the equity of the property is theirs. And then to talk a little bit about the income range of the people that would be, the families that would be selected. If it were a 1-person household, which is highly unlikely, or a two-person, the 1 person is $47,250, 2-person is $54,000. More likely, we're going to have at least 4 or 5 members of a household in this 3-bedroom unit. In a 4, that would be income of $67,450, and in a 5-person household, 72,850. So this is low income. This isn't moderate like Doran Gardens was. Talk a little bit about a marketing and selection. Similar to what we've done before, there'll be marketing done through GTV6, through press releases, flyers, and I believe the staff report only mentioned English, Armenian, and Korean. I just inadvertently didn't put in Tagalog. So it'll be English, Armenian, Spanish, Korean, and Tagalog. It'll be advertised in all 5 of those languages. I think the staff report only referenced 3, so that's my mistake. And the preference will be given to folks who either work or live or both in Glendale. And Habitat has their family selection process, so the process of selecting the families to move in, again, they have to do their 500 hours of sweat equity, just like any other Habitat project. That's primarily driven by Habitat. Community development staff will then verify those selections, verify their income, verify that they're eligible. Talk a little bit about the project's entitlements. Right now, it has not gone before planning hearing officer, nor has it gone to DRB. Those dates have not yet been scheduled. It is exempt from CEQA, but at least as it is designed now, it is looking for some variances for the project. At the site, the max allowed is 2 stories. We're proposing 3 stories. Now, the architect was able to keep it under the max height, so it will not exceed max height, but it will be 3 stories. It is required to have subterranean parking, but Habitat's projects, as you know, are attached 2-car garages, so that's at grade. So that would be a variance. Another one that couldn't be avoided on this design is the percent of living space on the ground floor. It's a very small amount of living space on the ground floor because you're not counting the garage. So you basically have an entry into the, and then stairs up to the rest of it. So right now the living space is 12.5% on the ground floor of the entire unit versus 25% required by code. And then there's also some setbacks that we'll need a variance for. And then just to give a little background on San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity, I had mentioned earlier, if this is approved, this would be the 8th project San Gabriel Valley Habitat has done for the city. And I list in the staff report the other 7 projects that they have done. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but that really is the end of my presentation.
Ms. Friedman.
2 questions. First, do we have any revised renderings on this project, or is it the same as we saw last time?
It has been revised, and I can email that to you.
Okay. But it'll come back for another design review?
It will come back for design review. We wouldn't come back to the Housing Authority unless the Housing Authority directed us to do so.
So the Housing Authority won't see the design again?
No, that was a policy decision that was made 2-3 years ago.
That would be staff?
It would be DRB. Design review would approve the design.
Okay. So when we saw the first design, it wasn't official. It wasn't for our design review. It was just being shown to us.
Actually, this is the first time this project's come to you. There's been some council briefings.
Right. That must be where I saw it then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I know this was explained to me, but explain again why this project is not a good candidate for the small lot subdivision ordinance, besides the fact that we don't have the ordinance in place
Right.
yet. But assuming we had the ordinance, would this be something that would give us a better design than the site plan that we have, given the site limitations and the size?
And I am going to invite Hassan, if you would, probably answer that question better than I can.
Hi, Hassan Haghani, Director of Community Development. I think it was mentioned as part of the presentation that one of the reasons that the project went vertical was to gain open space.
Right.
A small lot subdivision would actually not give more open space. What it would give, if this small lot subdivision was in place, would be having each unit have their own separate land, but effectively some of those areas might have smaller outdoor areas.
Okay. I just thought that maybe because the buildings could be together, that would give you more open space, but you don't think so?
Because this, the open space would also be private in small lot subdivisions. Each one of them would get a smaller slice of the
That
private
makes
area.
sense.
However, that is an option that sometimes the homeowners still prefer, and that's
Okay.
something we will consider in the future.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions? Mr. Quintero.
I don't have any questions, but I'm very happy we're moving forward with the project. For my way of thinking, just can't beat Habitat for Humanity. Not only does the city get more bang for their buck, But to me, most important of all is that the actual property owners work and put their units together. And as we know, when we attend these ribbon cuttings, not only they get so motivated that not only do they work on their own units, but then go on and help other people build their homes. So I'm all for it, and I hope we find more locations to do more projects with Habitat for Humanity. But I like the chestnut. I also, we must have seen the renderings meetings, but go ahead and forward. I'm sure I have a copy somewhere. But
We have seen the renderings?
On individual,
Not on this one.
no,
Not
but I'll email it to you.
Not a three-story.
No, but I will email it to everybody.
That'd be nice. Friedman.
So where are we in terms of the surrounding cities, in terms of number of habitat projects? Because we have a lot more than a lot of the surrounding cities. I'm just curious, does anybody know offhand? Because I'm very proud that we have so many Habitat for Humanity projects in Glendale. So we should...
Glendale is the leader, and we so appreciate your leadership.
Better give you a name for the record.
Yeah, for the record. Your leadership makes affordable housing something that the whole community is proud of, and we're happy to be your partners in that endeavor.
Well, habitat projects always look great. People always think that they're
Thank you.
condos.
And
Yes, we have people who drive by and say, are these for sale? So,
now your name for the record.
my name, Sonia Yates. I'm the Executive Director for San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you.
Well, we've always said Glendale loves Habitat, and Habitat loves Glendale.
That's true.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
And I was going to have the same question as Ms. Friedman had about how many projects do the neighboring cities have. And I have a question. To my knowledge, you say that there will be appearances on Horizon TV. It's an Armenian TV to me. And to my knowledge, the TV was removed from Charter channel. There is no more Horizon TV on Charter.
I don't know.
well, there are other
Yeah.
cable.
Yeah, you should look for other TV stations. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I got a couple questions. What is on the lot now? I didn't drive by.
Oh, it's a vacant.
Vacant lot, okay. And the neighbors are single-family and multifamily, maximum two-story?
It's mostly three-story. They're mostly multifamily. There are some three-story.
Oh, there are, because I was going to say, if this is the first one on the block, what do the neighbors think?
Yeah, no, there's actually a number of three-story units out there, three-unit projects out there.
Okay. that
Yeah,
answers the
they were
question.
developed before the new code.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see when the new small lot ordinance comes along, how that affects future, which way to go, up or out or what. But this is a 50-foot lot, I presume, so it's a,
50 by 140, that's a small lot.
and I hope there's no senior citizens living in these because they're going to walk up, up, up.
No, it's families.
Yeah, they're going to walk up, up, up. I know the older you get, you don't want to go up as many stairs, but that's the problem with the people who buy. But they're nice. Habitat's done a great job, so we're going to be able to give 3 more housing units to people in this city. We're greatly under-owned as a community, way more in the apartment field. So anytime we can add individual housing people, give them a sense of ownership, a real sense. This format, they get some outdoor space for the kids, which will be nice. Be interested in seeing this is a different one. I'll like it. At any rate.
I just have a question.
Yes,
So with
Mr.
regard to the
Attorney.
height issue, is there a variance that's going to be required?
Yeah, you would need a variance, not for the height, because we're just under the height,
Stories.
but the stories, that's right.
And that will come to,
That would be planning hearing officer's decision.
okay. And with regard to the parking, I see that, you said there's 2-car garages. Does that meet our code requirements for 3-bedroom units?
Yes, I apologize. The reason there isn't a variance for the amount of parking provided is because it is an affordable housing project, so they do get that under SB 1818. So, no, it's not parked to code.
Are we concerned that, I know that's one of the tough neighborhoods where we hear about parking issues all day long, all week long. Do you anticipate a impact by guests and visitors to those units?
Less of one than you would from the surrounding uses where it's higher density apartment versus a relatively lower density owner-occupied project with on-site parking.
We haven't experienced really a problem with the other Habitat projects, which have 2-car garages for 3-bedroom units. It really hasn't been a problem that I've heard of. I mean, it's obviously a concern, but it's not something we've seen.
The code parking would otherwise be how many units were not for the?
I want to say 2.5 per 3.
I always thought it was 2 per until you get to 3,500 square feet.
I believe it's 2, and then you would have a quarter parking per unit.
Oh, it's multifamily.
But is it
That's
under,
right.
is that?
A quarter for guests?
So it'd be
So it'd
one.
be-
Right, so you'd have a total of one, what would you have? One space for the 3 units.
Any other questions? Is there a motion? See, we have a,
1A, B, and C.
no, the A is council, B and C. What's C? Is that council too? It says resolution. Authority resolution or council? 1C.
Authority resolution. So A is the council and B and C are for the housing
I'll
authority.
move for housing 1B.
B and C?
Second.
1B and C?
Second.
Is there a second? Okay. Roll call on B, C.
Authority members, Friedman,
Yes.
NC,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Barazian,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Chair Sinanian.
Yes.
That's a resolution, or a motion for 1A.
Right.
The council. Is there a second? Roll call.
Council members, Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Thank you very much. And see, the same thing goes for this, Mr. Kasakian. All this good reading. Eliminated. Okay, is there a motion adjourned for the council?
Second.
Is there a motion adjourned for the housing authority?
Second.
Adjourned at 3:35.